a tea time chat where I'm just going to talk about a topic that's been on my mind. Thank you, Summer, for introducing our audience to this video. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Tea Time Chats. I'm so happy that you're here to share this experience with me and to even listen to what I have to say, because honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. But I do feel a big pull all the time to just share my experience, because I think that we need more people talking about certain things on the internet, and I hope that I can be a safe space as well as talk about things that matter to you and maybe inspire you to be yourself and spread your own voice too, even if you don't feel totally confident doing so. So, welcome, and I'm so excited to be here. Today's tea is a beautiful blend of ginger root, lemon balm, hibiscus, hops, chamomile, raspberry leaf, and cramp bark. And if you feel inclined, don't hesitate to make a nice hot cup of tea and share one with me. So today's topics that I wanted to discuss were how to trust yourself, becoming your own best friend, and how trusting yourself leads to better relationships overall in your life. I hope those topics sound interesting to you. They're something that I think about all the time and that I'm still learning how to navigate. So as someone who is not the most experienced or knowledgeable on this topic, I'm mostly just speaking from experience, and just know that I am in the process of establishing these things into my life as well as learning more about myself. So I hope that makes you feel a little more comfortable hearing this from someone who is currently going through it. And I hope we can just get through this journey together. I will say learning how to trust myself is something that I find very, very important, but very daunting. I think that we rely a lot on other people to make us feel comfortable or taken care of. But I will say that relying on yourself to make yourself happy and satisfied with life is very scary. It's much easier to kind of find that in someone else. And I have been no exception to that. Looking back on my childhood and the way that it plays a part in my adulthood and the way I react to things and how I view life is very interesting. I think even a year ago, I would have said that I don't need anyone and that I am fine on my own and can take care of myself, which is true in some regard. But after reflecting, I have realized that I've actually always been codependent on one person in my life and put so much pressure on the other person to fulfill my needs and my desires and make me happy. And I'm learning now that although I am independent, I still have a big fear of trusting myself. And I think what that looks like for me is trusting my decisions, being self-disciplined, and really just overall taking care of myself. Although I think having people in your life that are important and focusing on them and allowing yourself to be more than just you is very important, and I may talk about that in another video. I do think that the start of it should be rooted in yourself, and you should be able to trust yourself first so that you can just walk through life so much easier. Like I said, I'm still on this journey myself, so it's difficult, and some days it's easier and I flow more into myself and I'm more in tune, but then I do find myself falling into the rabbit hole of neglecting my own needs and just not giving myself what I deserve. My approach to confronting things that make me uncomfortable or that I want to change is really just asking myself questions. Just asking yourself some very simple questions that will lead to a more deep understanding of yourself is really helpful. In regards to trust, I would first ask myself, what are my needs? Because it's a simple way to kind of think about, okay, well, I need to move my body a few times a week. I need an hour of quiet in the morning. Just something that makes me feel more myself, more grounded. I think sometimes we just kind of guess at what we need or assume that our needs are going to be the same as someone else's or what we see online, but they really are so different. And for me, that usually looks like an hour or so of quiet during the day, whether that be morning or night. I just find that I feel the most energized when I have that quiet time just to myself. And some people might think that going out with your friends or spending time with family kind of recharges you and makes you feel more alive, and that is completely okay too. So I think just asking yourself that question can lead to you understanding yourself, as well as kind of plan how you're going to implement those things into your life. I think another thing for lots of people could be decision making. So trusting yourself to make decisions and not really looking outside to think about what you need. And this can be through your partner, through your friends, through your family. But I think a big thing, of course, is online and social media, because we're consuming all this content every single day and every single person is different, but really we're kind of being fed these mainstream streamlined things that just make us feel like we have to live just like that. And I think that's so not true. The people I choose to follow or consume their content are people who align with my goals or that are similar to the lens that I see the world through, just to make sure that I'm staying on my own track and being inspired by people that I actually look up to. There's so much content on the internet and you can really find good people and like-minded people and things that you're looking for. But normally the things that are pushed out to us the most are the most popular videos or more mainstream content. I do think that overconsumption does exist in those things. But I think something that's really important, especially if you're on social media more often, is just really looking at who you're following or subscribing to. If it doesn't make you feel good or inspired watching these videos, then ask yourself, why am I consuming this content? I think also asking yourself if the content you're consuming is really inspiring you in any way, or if it's something you connect to. And if it's not, or if it's really just making you feel bad about where you're at or about your life or insecure, then there's no harm in unsubscribing or really just putting an end to consuming that specific content. I do find myself struggling with this sometimes, as I can get kind of drawn into the materialistic side of things. I find myself just scrolling and watching things without even really being mindful about what I'm doing. I kind of just zone into that world and lose myself. And that's definitely something that I'm trying to get better at. I think the experiences that each person has gone through also contribute to how you treat yourself. And the way that we treat ourselves really depicts how others are going to treat us and what we accept from other people. I think that when we don't trust ourselves, we're less likely to put up boundaries with people and form healthy relationships. I've struggled a lot with this too, where I had the worst self-talk and just not a healthy environment inside my head. And not only was I therefore putting that energy out there and just kind of spreading around bad energy, not really treating people badly, but I think we could definitely feed off each other's energies. Just being mean to yourself is going to show through in how you move about this world, and I think it can also lead to other people treating you more poorly. And I found that when I had the worst self-talk, I had the worst relationships I've ever had, and I was treated very, very poorly because I accepted that. I've also heard somewhere years ago that people who do have really bad self-talk or treat themselves poorly will really accept bad treatment from others. And as long as it's not as bad as how you're treating yourself, you'll usually be okay with it because you're just so used to that environment. You're creating that in your mind and manifesting it into your reality. And as I continue to grow and learn more about myself, I realize that so often, and I catch myself kind of falling into that trap again. And it's really just going through life zoned out. Are you realizing what's going around outside of what you're zoned into? I get in my head so much, and luckily now I have way better self-talk and my mind is a lot nicer to myself. And although it's a more pleasant experience being inside my mind now, I do find myself zoning out a lot and not being present at all. This goes hand in hand with my breath. This is something that's so hard for me. I don't know why. I think it's because I do get in my mind a lot, and then, you just kind of forget that you're this living being that is breathing, and your breathing becomes shallow and you're not focusing on it. And I've struggled with this my whole life. A few years ago, I started really focusing more on my breath, but even then, I just get so in my mind and I don't even think about the fact that I'm here right now, wherever I am, and I'm breathing. But it feels so good when you catch yourself, and it's really just creating a habit. So every time you catch yourself kind of just going off into nowhere and not acknowledging your being and your presence, just being like, hey, I'm here right now and I am capable of doing deeper breaths and connecting myself to the present. And I think just being present is a great base for trusting yourself as well, because you're not really focusing on anything except what you're experiencing right now. And normally it's not as bad as we think. I think tuning into the past or present is what makes us really anxious and out of body. And if we can just be here right now, Like right now I'm drinking my tea, I'm safe, I'm warm, and that's beautiful. There's really nothing else that's going on, and I have to just remind myself that trusting is hard and it can be uncomfortable to get to know ourselves, but I think it's really just necessary. Leading from that, becoming your own best friend is a great way to build trust with yourself. And that goes with what I talked about earlier, where you ask yourself, what are my needs? And what makes me feel good and whole every day? What can I do for myself right now to make myself feel better? What do I need when I'm sad, when I'm tired? And I think just like how you care for a partner, you need to do the exact same thing for yourself. I know it can be kind of weird to treat yourself good, which is so odd. Like, why do we feel like that? Why does it feel uncomfortable to take care of ourselves and go the extra mile to make sure that, I don't know, we're happy and we feel good and we're going out of our way to make ourselves feel loved? And it can be really intimate, and I think that's healthy and that we need more of that. It makes us less bitter, it makes us less judgmental, because we're able to give our best self through that. I think the most important part about this that I've been thinking about and that's been going through my mind is how trusting ourselves can create a deeper trust with others in relationships, whether that's platonic or romantic. I think it will form healthier relationships because people can feed off of that energy. They see that you're taking care of yourself, they see that you love yourself, they see that you trust yourself, and you're really going to just attract people that are at that same place, and it's just going to be a healthier experience. It will also be easier to trust other people because you have that trust within yourself, and you know that whatever the outcome of the situation, you always have yourself, and you can always rely on the fact that you have this deep trust with yourself. I think that more than anything is so beautiful. The fact that we can build that relationship with ourselves that makes us unbreakable, and we can trust that throughout this whole life, we're going to be okay and we're going to be happy because we have this home within ourselves. That's just so awesome. That's the thing that has been motivating me to trust myself even more, is because I want to feel this sense of home in myself. And I just think we're able to be the highest version of ourselves and really accomplish so much more when we do that for ourselves. While I'm talking about this, I do feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, just because since I don't feel like I have really mastered any of these things, a part of me feels like I shouldn't be talking about it, but I know that I should be. I just feel that I should be, and I just think it's important to share wherever we're at in our lives in some way, because there's someone that's at the same spot that we are, and it's probably a lot more comforting than we think it will be. Even if it's just one person, I hope that it makes someone feel like they're less alone. I always go back to just thinking about how crazy this whole experience is, just life in general, and how we can make it easier on ourselves. I think we overcomplicate things so much. Life really just is so simple. Our needs are pretty simple. The society that we live in today definitely overcomplicates things, but I think we also make it a lot harder for ourselves than it has to be. The thing that has also made me trust myself more and have a deeper connection to myself is making things more simple and allowing myself space and giving myself patience, because there's really no rush to anything in this life. I think that taking our time is very valid, and it can also lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment in our lives and more accomplishments maybe than we thought we could achieve, because we were able to take it slowly and really think about things instead of just moving along with the pace of society. I do tend to ramble a bit. I hope this gets better as I start doing these videos every now and then. I think I'll start just doing it like once a month, or maybe not even put a time on it, honestly. Just doing it whenever I feel the need to speak on something that I've been thinking about, or I don't know, just wanting to sit down and chat with you. I hope this wasn't too choppy. I'm sure it was a little bit, but I think as I start to speak on these things more, I'll get more comfortable and less awkward, and that my language improves, and that I'm able to really spread my message and things clearly and correctly as they are in my mind. Yeah, thank you for having patience with me while I learn how to navigate this and how to navigate my voice. It's scary. It's so scary. These are all thoughts that I have all the time, and there's only really one person in my life that I fully talk to about these topics with no masks, which is something I'm also trying to work on, is letting people see me for me and giving them a chance to accept me as the way I am. Thank you for accepting me and for giving me a space to spread my word and just be here simply. I hope I post this even if it ends up being like 5 minutes long and everything I said made no sense and I went off topic 10 times. I'm just going to let it be because this is me right now, and I'm sure as time goes on I'm going to learn more about myself and become more comfortable, and this is a good starting point. I hope that you give yourself the love that you deserve. I hope that you realize that a deep connection with yourself is not weird, and although uncomfortable, it's going to breed in you so much joy and so much more fulfillment in this life. You really just deserve it. You really do. It makes me emotional talking about this because it's taken me so long to really accept these parts of myself, and just like breaking the ice on this is, it's just a weight off your shoulders, you know? And I hope that this can be the start of your journey to yourself and your journey to acceptance, because just the way you are is perfect. And I mean that. It might not seem like that when you look at yourself or you feel into yourself, but it is, and you really deserve it. I feel like I barely drank any tea. So I shall drink my lukewarm tea as I sit here and digest all this information that I've spewed onto the internet. Thank you so much for just being you and being here. I just love this space so much. And I think this is a really good decision for myself that I started making these videos, because I don't know, you just do things sometimes and it feels right. You get like that feeling in your stomach and your heart just feels whole, and you almost feel like you want to cry because it just feels right, and it feels like this is something that you were meant to do, and that's what this feels like. No outcome, no expectations, just having fun and connecting with some beautiful people. Thank you.